Okay, students, now we will talk about the small intestine. Okay, it is also an organ which is involved in digesting our food, and it is highly coiled, and the length of this small intestine is 7.5 meters long. Okay, it is situated below the stomach, and the small intestine starts from the end of the stomach. Where the stomach ends, from there the pipe of the small intestine starts. Small intestine is an organ which is actually long pipe. Okay, but it is coiled, it is folded, it is molded in between the large intestine. Okay, the length of this coil is 7.5 meter, right? The main digestive process of our food goes on in this in small intestine. The small intestine, it is located below the stomach. It starts from the end of the stomach. It is pipe-like structure, and it is located in coiled way. For example, in our houses, to defend to prevent from the mosquitoes, what we do, we burn a coil. Ever you observe the shape of the coil, it is round and round and round. But here, in small intestine, it is not designed round way. It is designed in a left and right way, left and right way. Okay, so whenever you see you see the picture in your textbook or on a Google internet, you will come to know how the design of the small intestine is. So now let us know that coil, this small intestine pipe is, if we enlarge that, if we enlarge that pipe will measure 7.5 meters long. Okay, what happens when the food enters in small intestine from the stomach? Okay, meanwhile the liver will secrete a juice. The liver will secrete a bile juice, and the gallbladder also will secrete another juice. Okay, the liver will secrete a juice called as bile juice. Liver will prepare this bile juice, and will be stored in gallbladder. Okay, the gallbladder is a small piece of muscle which is located below the liver. That bile juice will be stored in there, that in that gallbladder. Whenever the food enters the stomach, that gallbladder will give the juice to the small intestine. Meanwhile, pancreas, which is located below the stomach, will will give pancreatic juice. Okay, that this both juice will mix up and get inside into the small intestine in order to digest the food. Okay, what happens when pancreatic juice come into contact with foods? It will work on carbohydrates, fats and proteins, and change them into simpler forms. Simpler form means the form which is usable to our body. Okay, it will change in such a way that it can be added to the blood. Right, it can be added to the blood. Similarly, bile juice, it will grind all the food, and it will excrete, it will remove all the waste materials from the food. Bile juice, what it does, it will remove all the waste material from the food, and it allows all the waste material to enter into the large intestine. Okay, This is the process of digestion of the food in our small intestine organ. Already the food was partially digested in stomach, because as we have learned that stomach has three juices. One is digestive juice, second is HCl hydrochloric juice acid, and first one is mucus. These three acids will partially digest the food. What these three acids will do? These three acids will smoothen the hard particles present in the food. If some solid particles, some hard particles are present in the food, it will break that hard particles. It will break into small pieces, and it will allow the food to pass to the small intestine. And then, with the help of bile juice, with the help of pancreatic juice, the partially digested food is digested completely, and the waste material from the food, unwanted materials from the food, are allowed to pass to the large intestine. The partly digested food now reaches the lower part of the small intestine, where the intestinal juice completes the digestion of all the components of the food. The carbohydrates get broken into simple sugars such as glucose, fats into fatty acids, and glycerol, and proteins into amino acids. The carbohydrates which are present in the food are are made to broken into simple sugars called as glucose. The carbohydrates will be converted to glucose. Fats which are present in our food are converted into fatty acids. And glycerol which is present in our food will glycerol and proteins are converted to amino acids. These important nutrients will allow to pass to the blood, and that blood through the heart will be given to the lungs to purify that blood. The lungs will purify the blood, and after purifying, the lungs give back to the blood, the pure blood, to the heart, and finally that blood will be propagated all over the body. Okay, now let us see how the absorption occurs in the small intestine. Absorption in the small intestine. The digested food can now pass into the blood vessels in the wall of the intestine. This process is called as absorption. Absorption. What I said now itself. When the digested food, when the food is completely digested, the important particles of the food, the important substance present in the food, are allowed to enter into the blood vessels present in the small intestine. This process is called as absorption. Absorption means the important particles present in the food, which are the digested important particles present in the small intestine, are allowed to pass to the blood vessel. This process is called as absorption. In the inner walls of the small intestine have thousands of finger-like outgrowths. These are called villi. Same as in the stomach, what we have learned, that in stomach we have small fingers like structure. Similarly, here in small intestine also we have thousands of small thread like structure, we can say, finger like structure, we can say. These are called villi. The villi increase the surface area for the absorption of digested food. When the food enters into the small intestine, obviously the food requires the space. So that space will be given through the villi in the small intestine. Each villi has a network of thin small blood vessels close to its surface. The surface of the villi absorbs the digested food particles. The absorbed substances are transported via the blood vessels to the different organs of the body, where they are used to build complex substances such as proteins required by the body. So these small finger-like structures, what they have the blood vessels. In these blood vessels, that food which is digested is allowed to enter. Okay, the food which is digested by the small intestine, the important components which are present in the food are allowed to get mixed by get to the blood by these small vessels called as villi. Okay, understood?